Good morning, happy Monday. We are working on lesson 23 right now. So make sure you have paper out and pencil out. We're going to be doing plan of attack for them both. Watch through this video and tell me the code word airplane to show me that you've seen the video. Follow along, do the plan of attack, draw the diagrams, and then come into office hours after you've completed this and your Zern lesson, and we will get started. All right, I will see you all soon. All right, we are looking at lesson 23. So perplexing problems. Pumpkins and squash. 3 pumpkins and 2 squash weigh 27.5 pounds. 4 pumpkins and 3 squash weigh 37.5 pounds. Each pumpkin weighs the same as the other pumpkins, and each squash weighs the same as the other squash. How much does each pumpkin weigh, and how much does each squash weigh? All right. I'm thinking about a couple different things right now. Each pumpkin weigh, how much does each pumpkin weigh? So each means 1. So it wants to know how much 1 pumpkin weighs and how much 1 squash weighs. So I'm going to start by thinking, okay, it's telling me 3 pumpkins and 2 squash weigh 27.5 pounds, and I know all those 3 pumpkins are the same, and I know those 2 squash are the same. So I'm going to say, okay, if I have, there's 1 pumpkin and 1 squash, and another pumpkin, and another squash. So now I have 2 pumpkins and 2 squash. It says 3 pumpkins, so I need another pumpkin, 3 pumpkins, and 2 squash. Okay, that's exactly what I have, and it tells me that it weighs as a whole 27.5 pounds. Then it tells me, for the next one, 4 pumpkins and 3 squash. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4 pumpkins and 3 squash. 1, 2, okay, great, 3, and it tells me that this total is 37.5 pounds. I'm using this as, if you're thinking for your plan of attack, this is what I know. I'm just drawing it into a picture. Okay, each pumpkin weighs the same and each squash weighs the same. How much does each pumpkin weigh? Well, I'm going to think about this in units. If I think of this as 1 unit, 1 pumpkin, 1 squash. So if I were to draw my 1 unit, I have 1 pumpkin and I have 1 squash. This is 1 unit. Okay, and I need to figure out how much that 1 unit is. Well, if I know that's 1 unit, then in this I have a second unit, right? Here's unit 1, 1 pumpkin, 1 squash, and unit 2, 1 pumpkin, 1 squash. Then we have a pumpkin left over. And I know that whole thing is 27.5, 27.5. So if I'm thinking through how I want to figure out what is this 1 unit, what is the pumpkin and the squash together going to equal? Well, as I look at them, and I look here, here's 1, oops, that's not the right color, here's 1 unit, right? We said 1 unit was 1 pumpkin, 1 squash. So this is made up of 3 units here with an extra pumpkin, and that top one is made up of 2 units and an extra pumpkin. Well, if I look at this bottom part here, 1, 2, 3 are all going to be the same amount, and then an extra. So I could say, oh, look at this. If 1 unit was 10, this is 10. If this was 10, pumpkin and a squash, 10 pounds, and this was 10 pounds, that leaves me 10 plus 10 plus 10. That leaves me with 30 pounds right there. And then I'm trying to erase that 2 there. Then it makes it a little bit clearer. Okay, so this is going to be that remainder. If the rest is 30, this has to be 7.5. And let's think about that again. If I'm saying pumpkin and squash together is 10 pounds and 10 pounds, and then I have a remainder, well, 10 plus 10 is 20, so 7.5 pounds. Okay, so 1 unit is 10 pounds. So I know that a pumpkin, let me switch that color. I know that a pumpkin plus a squash equals 10 pounds. Well, now I need to figure out what my pumpkin is and what my squash is. Well, we just did that math, and for the top and the bottom, when the pumpkin was alone, the pumpkin was 7.5 pounds. All right, and now it's so that, how much does each pumpkin weigh? That answers that question, but now I need to know how much does each squash weigh. So I'm thinking, how am I going to figure this out? The pumpkin and the squash together are 10 pounds. And if I subtract my 7.5 pounds, you are going to end up getting your answer of 2.5 pounds, right? Because you're going to borrow and you are going to end up getting 2.5 pounds. So I was able to figure out my answer just by doing that diagram at the beginning. So writing out a sentence, all of the pumpkins weigh 7.5 pounds each, and the squash each weigh 2.5 pounds. Pause the screen if you need to get that information. Then you're moving into the next problem. Henry had 20 convertibles, 5 trucks. On your own, do a plan of attack. As you're thinking through your no, do what we just did. Draw your no, write out the information, and see if you can draw a tape diagram. See if you can draw any type of picture that's going to help you with that information. Then we will talk in office hours to see what you came up with. Good luck and nice job.